The Thrilling Mystery of Betrayal, Chapter 1. Jewel Creek. Everyone in the small town of Jewel Creek knew each other's secrets, but no one could have predicted the string of murders that would rock the community to its core. When a teenage girl detective starts to unravel the clues, she realizes that the killer is someone she knows and trusts. In a race against time, she must use all of her wits and intuition to outsmart the killer before anyone else is hurt. But as the body count rises, she starts to wonder if she's the next target.
The brutal murder of a beloved high school teacher shocks the town of Jewel Creek. The teacher was well-liked and respected by everyone, and her death sends shockwaves through the community. As the investigation begins, a teenage girl detective starts to look into the case and discovers that the victim was hiding a shocking secret. The detective realizes that the secret could be the key to solving the case, but it also puts her in grave danger as the killer starts to target her. Jewel Creek was once a peaceful and idyllic town, but everything changed with the murder. As the detective delves deeper into the case, she uncovers more secrets and lies that threaten to tear the town apart. Will she be able to solve the case and restore peace to Jewel Creek, or will the killer strike again? The teenage girl detective, Alex, is devastated when her best friend becomes the next victim of the killer. Alex realizes that the killer is specifically targeting people close to her and becomes even more determined to catch the killer and stop them before they strike again. She knows that she's risking her own life by getting involved, but she can't stand by and watch as more innocent people are killed. This event marks a turning point for Alex, as she becomes even more invested in the case and more willing to take risks to solve it. The death of her best friend. After the funeral of her best friend, Alex is approached by a stranger who claims to have information about her friend's death. The stranger tells Alex that her friend was murdered and that there are clues hidden at the funeral that will help her identify the killer. Alex is skeptical at first, but she decides to investigate the clues anyway. She starts to look for anything out of the ordinary at the funeral, paying close attention to the people who attended and the items that were left behind. As she searches for clues, Alex starts to notice strange patterns and connections that she hadn't seen before. She realizes that her friend's death might be connected to a larger conspiracy, one that involves some of the most powerful people in the city. With the help of a few trusted friends, Alex starts to investigate the conspiracy. She follows the clues to a secret location where she discovers a hidden room filled with evidence that proves her friend was murdered. As Alex gets closer to the truth, the people involved in the conspiracy start to target her directly. She receives threatening messages and is attacked several times, but she refuses to back down. Instead, she becomes even more focused and determined to catch the killer and bring them to justice. After discovering the clues at her best friend's funeral, Alex was overwhelmed with sadness and grief. She couldn't believe that her friend had been murdered and that the people responsible were still out there, walking free. Despite her sadness, Alex refused to give up. She knew that her friend would want her to find the truth and bring the killer to justice. So she pushed through her grief and focused on the investigation, determined to uncover the truth no matter what. As she delved deeper into the case, Alex found herself struggling to cope with her emotions. She missed her friend terribly and wished that she could turn back time and prevent the tragedy from happening. But she knew that she had to stay strong and keep fighting, no matter how difficult it might be. Chapter 3. The death of a classmate. Alex had been following the clues for weeks, convinced that she was getting closer to the truth. She had discovered a hidden room filled with evidence that proved that her best friend had been murdered, and she had even identified one of the people involved in the conspiracy. But just when she thought she was getting close to solving the mystery, a new clue led her to believe that there was more than one person involved. The clue was a note that had been left on her desk at school. It was written in a code that she recognized from one of the earlier clues, but it was different in some important ways.
As she worked to decipher the code, Alex realized that the message was a warning. Someone was onto her and she needed to be careful. Alex tried to keep a low profile after that, but she couldn't help but investigate further. She started to look for connections between the people she had identified and other suspicious activity in the city. She soon realized that the conspiracy was much larger than she had originally thought, and that it had led to the death of another student at her school. Alex was devastated by the news, but it only made her more determined to catch the killers. She worked tirelessly to uncover more clues and to identify the people involved. She enlisted the help of her friends, who had also become invested in the case. Together, they followed the clues to a secret location, where they discovered a hidden room filled with even more evidence. As they pored over the evidence, Alex and her friends realized that they were in way over their heads. The conspiracy was much larger and more dangerous than they had ever imagined, and they were risking their lives by getting involved. But they also knew that they couldn't give up now. They had come too far and had sacrificed too much to turn back. Chapter 4. Happy birthday! Alex was stunned when she discovered that the hidden room she had been searching for was actually another way into her basement. She couldn't believe that she had been so close to the answer all along, but her excitement was short-lived when she realized that her birthday was only 1 week away, and she had no idea how to plan a party when students were going missing daily. The news was full of reports of kidnappings and murders, and Alex was terrified that she or someone she loved would be next. She tried to focus on planning her party, but her mind kept wandering to the gruesome stories she had read in the news. One day, while out for a run in the woods with her friends, Alex stumbled over some remains. She was horrified to realize that they were human bones, and that someone had been killed and left there. She immediately called the police, who came to investigate. The discovery of the remains only fueled Alex's fears. She knew that she had to do something to protect herself and her friends. She started to carry pepper spray with her wherever she went, and she made sure that she was never alone. She also started to pay closer attention to her surroundings, looking for any signs of danger. Despite her fears, Alex was determined to have a good birthday. She invited her closest friends over for a small party, and they spent the evening eating cake, playing games, and watching movies. For a few hours, they were able to forget about the danger that lurked outside and just enjoy each other's company. As the night wore on, Alex couldn't help but think about the person or people who had committed the murders. She wondered if they were still out there, watching and waiting. But she also knew that she couldn't let fear control her life. She had to be vigilant, but she also had to keep living. In the end, Alex's birthday party was a success. She had managed to plan a fun evening despite the dark cloud that hung over the town. And even though she knew that the danger was still out there, she felt a little bit better knowing that she had her friends by her side. Chapter 5. Stay inside. One evening, Alex was sitting at home watching TV when her phone rang. She didn't recognize the number, but she answered it anyway. When she said hello, a man's voice on the other end told her that he was the one who had killed her best friend. Alex was shocked. She couldn't believe what she was hearing. She asked the man who he was and why he was calling her. The man told her that he had been watching her for a long time and that he was after her now. Alex's heart was pounding. She didn't know what to do. She asked the man why he was doing this, but he didn't answer. Instead, he told her that he was going to come for her soon and that she should be ready. Alex hung up the phone and sat there in silence. She couldn't believe that someone would want to hurt her. She was terrified and didn't know what to do. She called the police and told them everything that had happened. They took her case seriously and offered to provide her with protection. They advised her to stay in a safe place and not to go out alone. Alex's father and mother were also very concerned for her safety. They advised her to stay home and work on her schoolwork for a couple of weeks until the police could figure out who the man on the phone was. Alex agreed to stay home and focus on her schoolwork, She was still terrified, but she felt safer knowing that the police were working on her case. She spent the next few weeks at home, studying and trying to stay calm. Despite her fears, Alex refused to let the man on the phone control her life. She knew that she had to keep living and fighting for her safety. She continued to work with the police to identify the man and bring him to justice. Chapter 6. The Death of Her Father. Alex was doing her schoolwork at home, as her parents had advised her. She was sitting at her desk when she heard a gunshot outside. She was terrified and didn't know what to do. She ran to the living room to see what was happening. When she got there, she saw her mother running towards the door. Her father was lying on the ground, bleeding. Alex was in shock. She couldn't believe what she was seeing. She ran to her father's side and tried to help him, but it was too late. He had been killed. Alex's mother was crying and screaming. Alex knew that she had to be strong for her little brother, who was only 9 years old. She covered up his eyes so that he wouldn't see his father like that. The police arrived soon after and started investigating the crime scene. Alex and her family were questioned by the police, but they didn't know who had killed her father. It was a devastating loss for the family. Alex was heartbroken. She couldn't believe that her father was gone. She missed him so much. She knew that her life would never be the same again. Chapter 7. I didn't mean to do it. I swear. After the police had finished their investigation, Alex was determined to find out who had killed her father. She remembered that they had security cameras around the house and decided to check the footage. However, when she checked the cameras, she realized that they had all been cut out right before the shooting happened. It was as if someone had hacked the cameras or deleted the footage. Alex was devastated. She had hoped that the cameras would provide some answers, but now she was left with even more questions. Alex didn't know what to do. She felt like she was running out of options. She decided to talk to the police again and tell them about the cameras. They said they would look into it, but Alex didn't have much hope. Alex was in her room when she overheard her mother's conversation. She had left her door slightly ajar, and she could hear her mother talking on the phone with a familiar voice. Alex's curiosity got the better of her, and she decided to listen in on the conversation. To her shock, she heard her mother say that the job was done. Alex couldn't believe what she was hearing. Her mother was talking about her father's murder. She also heard her mother say that she had rehearsed what she would say if anyone questioned her. I didn't mean to do it, I swear. Alex's heart was pounding. She couldn't believe that her own mother could have killed her father. Alex was in shock. She didn't know what to do. She couldn't believe that her mother was capable of such a thing. She decided to tell her friends what she had heard, and they started an investigation on her mother. However, they didn't have any evidence to prove that her mother was guilty. Alex couldn't believe that her mother was capable of such a thing. She didn't know what to do. She needed to find evidence to prove her mother's guilt. She didn't want to call the cops because she didn't have any evidence, and she didn't want to make things worse for her family. Days turned into weeks, and Alex was still trying to find evidence. She felt like she was running out of options. She knew that she had to keep fighting for justice. She hoped that one day she would find the answers she was looking for. Chapter 8. Mother Loves You. When Alex's mother went to work, she invited her friends over to help her investigate her mother's room. They were determined to find evidence of her mother's involvement in her father's murder. They searched the room thoroughly, but they couldn't find anything. As they were about to give up, they noticed that part of the floor looked like it was disturbed. They tried to move it, and to their surprise, the piece of floor lifted up. There, they found the murder weapon that killed her father. Suddenly, they heard the front door open, and Alex's mother came home early. She caught them in her room and kicked everyone out except for Alex. She wanted to talk to her daughter alone. Alex was scared, but she knew that she had to face her mother. Her mother told her that she had found the murder weapon and that she knew that Alex had been investigating her. Alex's mother admitted to killing her father, but she said that it was an accident. She said that she didn't mean to do it and that she was sorry. Alex was shocked. She couldn't believe what she was hearing. She didn't know what to do. Her mother begged her not to tell anyone, but Alex knew that she had to do the right thing. She called the cops and told them everything. The cops came and arrested Alex's mother. Alex was heartbroken, but she knew that it was the right thing to do. She hoped that one day she would be able to forgive her mother. Chapter 9. TikTok. TikTok. Alex's mother was eventually recaptured and sent back to prison. But before she was taken away, a bomb was found in the house. Alex managed to save herself and her brother, but they lost everything. All of the pictures that reminded them of their father and all of their other memories before the chaos were gone. Alex was devastated. She realized that she should have tried to listen to her mother, even though she thought she knew everything. Her mother had been trying to protect them all along, and Alex had been too stubborn to see it. Now, Alex and her brother had nothing left. They had lost their home, their possessions, and their sense of security. But they still had each other, and they were determined to rebuild their lives. They moved in with their aunt, who lived in a nearby town. It wasn't the same as having their own home, but it was a start. Alex and her brother started going to a new school, and they made new friends. Slowly but surely, they started to rebuild their lives. They still missed their old home and their old life, but they knew that they couldn't go back. They had to move forward and make the best of what they had. Chapter 10. What happens now? New beginnings. After the incident, Alex was going through her phone when she found a message from her mother. In the message, her mother revealed that she knew something terrible was going to happen, and that's why she had left Alex the message. Her mother had been working to gather evidence on the people involved in the murders, and she had left Alex all of the information she needed to turn them in. Alex knew that she had to do the right thing, so she called the police and gave them all of the information her mother had left her. The police were able to use the evidence to track down everyone involved in the murders, including Alex's grandfather, who was the boss. Even Alex's aunt, who she and her brother had been staying with, was involved. It was a shock to Alex, but at least the town of Jewel Creek got the closure they deserved. After all of the clues and chases, Alex wondered what was next for her. She knew that she had to move on and start a new life. She had lost so much, but she still had her brother and her mother's memory to guide her. Alex was determined to make the most of her new beginnings. She started to focus on her studies and her hobbies, and she made new friends. She knew that it wouldn't be easy, but she was ready to face whatever challenges came her way. In the end, Alex realized that she was stronger than she had ever thought possible. She had been through so much, but she had come out the other side. She knew that her mother would be proud of her, and that thought gave her the strength to keep moving forward.